Hi, I'm Shola Sampson, and I welcome you all to the very first episode of Let's Talk Animation. Basically, all I'm going to be doing here will be discussing on the process and the technique I used in achieving this shot I'm about to play. So, here is the shot. You have a sack coming off behind the tree, taking few bounces and then running off the screen. So this is the shot I'm going to be talking about today. And for disclaimers, this video is going to be very loose because that's the concept. It's about talking animation, so there is no planning or nice edit to this. It's just as raw as it can be for animators wanna be and for pros already. We just want to share the concept and thoughts. All right, this is what we'll be doing. We'll talk about planning, talk about the key poses, the breakdown, the in-betweens, talk about timing and spacing, talk about overlap, follow through, anticipation, weight, perspective, and depth. And the background wasn't designed by me. Beautiful background was downloaded online, and I just thought of working with this scene because it looks very beautiful. So all I did to this scene was just the um, okay, it's just the flower sack, which is this. Yeah, this is the only thing I drew and animated. So first, we'll talk about the planning. Let's get into that now. Planning. Now, planning is very important. It's one of the most important things you can ever do, and it's a step you should never ever miss because when you plan, it makes your life much more easy when you're animating. Okay, so planning. Don't forget that the P is very important. You need to plan your shot. So how did I plan this shot? Here is it. I have my rough timing here. I need to hide this layer, the flower sack layer cleaned up. Okay, so here is my rough timing here. Okay, rough timing, and with description, arrows, and I need to hide this layer too so you see what I'm saying clearly. Okay, so I came up with this concept of the flower sack coming off behind the tree. You can see the arrow showing me the path of action here, and then it bounces off the platform here, and then a few distance away from that spot. Now turn towards the screen. That means the flower sack needs to turn towards the screen here. Okay, going further, we have him turn away from screen and anticipate the bounce and then bounce off the screen. So this is basically my planning pass where I decided on what I want my character to do and why, and then also adding information so I don't forget when the time for animating comes. Okay, so that's the part of the planning. The next thing we'll talk about is the key pose breakdowns and in-betweens. So for my breakdowns, I depended on my planning stage, which is the layout that shows the spot of this. That was what I relied on for my key poses, and before I blocked in my key poses, I also added this part to tell me the animation part of my flower sack. You can see the arc. Arc is also one of the principles of animation, which is very important. So I just didn't want to do a rough animation. So since I'm planning, I needed to plan everything, starting from the thought process to the part of animation of the character in the shot, which is the performance of the character. So everything is very, very important to me at this stage. So I had to block out the arc. So this first color, the blue, shows the first bounce. Yeah. Then when the character got to the spot, remember it's my character had to take a turn. Sorry, I want to I don't know why this is acting up. Anyway, okay, fine. Anyway, I wanted my character to take a turn here, right? So I had to change the color of the arc so I don't get confused at this stage. So it bounces off the screen through this animation part, and that is what the final shot looks like. So talking about the breakdowns, after having all these set already, I added my rough sack timing here. So you can see the breakdown color is this color, yeah. And after setting out all the breakdowns, I had to go back in frame by frame and draw in my breakdowns too with a different color, yeah, using the yellow, yeah, autosave, you need to wait guys. Okay, using the yellow color, let me search for, yeah, something like this. You can see this is, I just had to color code everything, the breakdowns, the in-betweens, yeah, to give me this nice smooth flow, since I had to draw every frame one after the other. Okay, so after the rough timing of the key pose, the breakdown came in between, and then the in-betweens. So the next thing we want to talk about here is the timing and spacing. Like I said, after blocking out my key poses, yes, I just had to rough out the timing here, since there was no live reference to get the idea of the timing for this shot, but I know what I was going for. So I just had to space it out, and I had a test, yeah, rendered. If I'm not okay with the speed of things, I had to go in and rework the timing for the key poses before I added the breakdowns and in-betweens. So talking about the spacing, I will show you my spacing chart for this part alone, because I can't possibly show you the spacing chart for everything, the whole sequence. But you can see here, let me bring this down so we can repeat the view. Okay, so we can repeat the playback. Right. Okay, so if I play this, you can see the character comes in fast and then settles into the spurs. So the character comes in very fast and then settles slowly into this pose. So that is cushioning into this pose. Okay, so now the way I achieved this was through my timing chart. I had a timing chart. Let me show you where the spacing chart rather. Where is it? Okay, here is it. Now I need to turn this off. The distraction there is just too much. Okay, then I can turn this off too. Okay, fine. Here is the spacing chart. So I have my key pose in circles, 31 my key pose, and then 45 my key pose. That is 31, this frame 31 here, and then frame 45. So these are my two different key poses. This is a bit higher than this. Okay, so now the in between, the breakdown is the 33rd frame, frame 33, which is this. So you can see the flower sac is higher here. I need to show you this in clear terms. Okay, was the rough timing should be off. Okay, so we have flower sac rough should be off. Okay, all right. Spacing chart. The final bring it up. Okay, so from here, this is the head of my sac, and then here is the breakdown. The head is higher here, and back to my key pose. Back to my key pose. So here is the breakdown. Now, all I did was I made sure that the speed, the first speed to get to the breakdown here was very fast. Yeah, I made it very fast, and then coming back to settle in this position very slow. So just have it in mind, when you have few drawings, your speed will be greatly increased, and when you have tight drawings together, you have more like a cushion effect, a slow in to the very pose you're going into. So you can see this is well spaced out here, the drawings well spaced out here, and they are cushioned at the ending part here. So this is my spacing chart for it. So that's enough said on spacing. What else are we talking about here? Um, the overlap and follow through. Yeah, this is very easy to see in the shot, because you can see how the tied part of the flower sac moves based on the force in mind. Yeah, so I just had this feeling of, okay, if the character is going upwards, every little weight stuff should drag behind like this. The flap here. Okay, let me hide this. Let me use this layer for it. So you can see the flap drags behind, comes up. Yeah, drags behind, comes up, down. Yeah. So that's the kind of thing I wanted for the shot. That's the drag. Yes, another example that I can show you this. Um, very rough. Okay. Okay, you can see the tied part here. It's dragging behind based on the force. Okay, overlap and follow through. So it's also very important, part of the principles of animation. Yeah, this is a kind of follow through too, as a result of the weight, and we will talk about that later on. It continues in that line of action and bends forward to soak in the force, yeah, before settling back into position. So that's that. Talking about anticipation next. So everybody does anticipate when preparing for an action. Okay, things doesn't just happen that way. I don't talk much on anticipation because most people already know what the concept is all about. This video is not for those that never heard of animation before. It's just for animation wannabes, and the pros already. So I won't really dwell much time explaining some of these things because there are things you can get anyway. Okay, so for this flower sac to jump or take another bounce, I made it anticipate that bounce, which is squatting and boom. Okay, so squatting and boom, squatting and boom. So that's just the anticipation. And I think I added another anticipation here for the final bounce. Not sure. Let's see if I have that. Okay, yeah. This is another anticipation. Squat, then boom. Okay, squat, then boom. So that's that about anticipation. Then we have weight. Yeah, quickly. The weight is just me playing around with my timing to convey that sense of weight, because I believe for heavy objects they spend less time in the air, yeah, as a result of gravity. So I just had to play around with the spacing. You can see spend lesser time in air but more time, and here with a drag, more like a pot belly kind of shape here for it. So just to show the weights, like, oh, the gravity is pulling on something and this guy cannot just stay in the air for a very long time. So that's why I got this effect of weight. You can see it looks like the drawing actually has weight in it, and so that's just all about weight. Yeah. And finally, talking about the perspective and depth. So perspective and depth, I had to make sure that I could convey this in 3D. Yeah, even though my my drawing is not that solid, but I hope you guys pardon me for this crap drawing. But at least I just wanted to pass on the message across. So okay, so you can see the depth here that I'm trying to convey, that the flower sac turns towards us. Yeah, so that's like the perspective. And then the part where the character runs off screen too. Here's the perspective. So you can see when something is very close to the camera, in terms of size and scale, it's bigger. Okay, so I had to reduce the size as it runs off the screen, even though I should have added more in-betweens and breakdowns to make this later part smooth, but I think this is okay for the purpose of this tutorial, so that was why I just had to stop that out. You can see as I reduce the size, it looks like the character is going far into the shot. So that's all, friends. This is Let's Talk Animation, and hopefully more episodes will be coming soon, where I'm going to talk about the animated shots that I'd worked on, the concept behind it, and the technique used. So the next one could just be in 3D space. This is 2D, yeah, traditional drawing, frame by frame. The next one could be the 3D form. So I just had to start with this because it's beautiful working with 2D classical animation, because that teaches you a lot of things. You would have relied on any 3D software for your in-betweens, just set keys and the software interpolates for you. That's like a lazy kind of way of working. But when you work in 2D frame by frame, you understand what animation truly is, because you're responsible for every action of your character on scene. So friends, guys, this is where I'm gonna call this a shot, so I can prepare for the next episode of Let's Talk Animation. I guess you've learned something. Bye.